Nice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Give Me Some Good News, the podcast about positivity in the travel and tourism space. As always, I am your host, Caleb Sullivan, here with my lovely co host, Mr. Tyler Ford. Tyler, how are we doing today?
I am doing just great. I'm here in my daughter Ella's room today. It's functioning as the home office for the moment. So nice scenery around me, nice
Yes.
sage colors, nice pinks.
I love the
I'm
bunnies
very
in the
happy about it.
background for those
There should be
listening.
bunnies back here for those
Yep.
viewing even. So, hey, we're ready to rock and roll.
We're
This
ready
is
to rock
this is
and
the
roll.
place where dreams come true.
You
Yeah.
know, shout out to Elle Bell and her
Yep, L
nursery.
Bell.
You
Yeah,
know,
shout out to L Bell
shout
and
out
her
to Elle
nursery.
Bell's nursery. But we really wanted to put a bow on this year with this episode. This is our 13th episode as we're recording it. Tyler and I have put together, believe it or not, 13 weeks of content throughout this last year, and I think we've talked about this some on the podcast, but I kind of wanted to give the audience just like an overview of like where this kind of came from. So. I was approached by the podfather in our space, Mr. Adam Stoker, and he told me, the reason I believe what I believe in travel and tourism is I've had 400 episodes of podcasting to talk about it with industry experts. And that to me just really revved me up, got me excited. He also told me, he said, Caleb, you don't need permission to do stuff in this industry. You need to just do it. And for some reason, him giving me permission not to need permission gave me the permission I needed. And it gave me this confidence level to really start, hitting the hot microphone and talking to you guys and bringing on guests. And to be honest, y'all, like the way our guest pools kind of worked is I've just texted friends and been like, hey, come on, talk about what you're interested in. It hasn't been a very formal process. And Tyler and I are kind of figuring out what we want next year to look like. So I really just wanted to, first of all, thank all, we always joke 7 or 8 of our listeners for listening
Yep.
to us and taking the time to hear us out a little bit. This has just been a true joy and a true positive light in my career so far, really kind of doing this podcast. We're looking at guests, kind of like a guest roster for next year. And we're excited to kind of start putting some of that stuff together. So the podcast will be going on through next year. It'll probably come out a little, I'd say mid to late January at the first couple episodes for next year, just so that way we can get time to kind of ideate some more content for you guys. But we are proud of what we've done so far, and we want to thank you for listening. And we got a couple other things to talk about today. So Tyler, anything you'd like to add there, buddy?
Yeah, I just wanted to, well, first I wanted to thank all of our listeners and just all of our friends, especially who have been really supporting this. Um, they're the ones who are actually able to make this thing happen by coming on and by just sharing their expertise and sharing their thoughts and also just having fun with us. So thanks to everyone who's come on and who's just been, I don't know, supportive of this show and supportive of us and who just enjoys talking about this with us. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. And hey, it's been a good year.
It's
It's
been a
been a real
great
good
year.
year.
It's been a
Yeah.
good year for good news. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
it's been a good year for good news.
Absolutely. And as we kind of go into next year, Tyler and I, we've alluded to this on a couple of episodes, but we're kind of putting a bow on our resolutions as well and kind of what we want to achieve. And I put a LinkedIn post up a few days ago that was pretty vulnerable and you know, I towed the line kind of a little bit between being professional and personal on LinkedIn. I know we talked about that with Greg on I
Hmm.
think it was episode 11, but I kind of just put this letter out where I was like, hey, I've been foot to the floor in my career since I was about 18, 19 years old. And Tyler, you've been along for this whole journey. I was raising my half siblings from the time I was about 18 or 19. So I hit the ground running and was just like desperate, really out of desperation to get a career that was stable, something that I could use to raise my siblings. And now I'm actually in a really cool spot, and I'm very grateful for it. I don't take it for granted, but I'm in an industry that I love. I'm in a position where I'm of value to my organization, working for people I look up to, respect, and I can learn from. And I never really stopped to be like, well, who am I aside from work? And how do I kind of bridge that gap between Caleb as the person and Caleb as a professional? So, a couple of things I've been doing this year, just unintentionally, really, is like trying to be myself more. And people that know me know like I'm very just I try to be myself as much as I can. But when I started in this industry, I always thought I was kind of like a caricature of myself. I'd like wear this like
Hmm.
funny little bow
Yeah.
tie and like I tried to get rid of my accent. I tried to like be, I guess, more professional because, at 22 years old, you don't really know who you are, especially in an industry. And I've just been so fortunate to be in this industry and be able to kind of like, I don't know, like just be myself. I've been able over the past probably 2 years to kind of like, I don't, nothing against bow ties. I don't wear them anymore. I wear my boots to conferences. I enjoy being myself. So 2026 is really going to be a year of kind of self-exploration, and kind of bridging that gap more between who I am as a person and who I am as a professional. And for people watching, there's a picture of me and my wife back there. And funny enough, I was sharing with her the LinkedIn post, and she was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Like, how are you going to do that?" And I was like, "I don't know."
Oh, that's good. And that's so Hannah. That's a great
That's
Hannah.
such a Hannah quote. Just
She
so
compliments you
simple.
really well in that. Like,
Boom.
okay, how?
So grandiose. How are you actually going to do it? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something I'm just kind of looking at, and there's no, we talked about with David on the podcast a couple weeks ago. We talked about like setting real goals and like how do you achieve that. And this is one of those, and Tyler knows this. So I'll share with you guys like the week of January 1st. So next week, I'm taking the week off of work. I'm gonna set some time aside, go to a coffee shop, really dive into actionable items and what that's gonna look like. But yeah, guys, I don't mind saying it. Like we're all figuring it out as we go. Um, we're all learning, we're all trying to improve, and it's okay to be figuring out who you are along the journey. I think self-development and exploration is important in your career and in your life. So, and I'm vulnerable enough. Anyone who knows me knows I'll talk to you about anything. I'm vulnerable enough to share that with folks, and I don't have everything figured out, and I'm just kind of learning as I go, or learning as I grow. There you go.
Oh,
Boom.
wow.
Drop, mic drop.
Okay. Pause, right?
Yeah, there
That
you
goes
go.
on LinkedIn. No, I completely agree with you. And interestingly, it was actually kind of one of those moments of self-exploration I had last year around this time, maybe a little earlier in December, I'd say, but still last year, in which I decided that I wanted to leave the automotive space, in general, leave the supply chain world, just because I've been, growing my career in this logistics and supply chain field. And it's funny, I see you're wearing a Continental vest that I got you.
Representing.
Woo, go Continental.
Good Christmas
Um,
present.
Shout out to Continental. Merry Christmas from Continental Automotive. And there it is in the flesh. But no, it was through these kinds of thoughts and honestly, lots of, I don't remember the quotes now, but lots of really good inspirational quotes about like, you're not stuck is the general message. It's just the idea of like, you might be 28, you might be 30, you might be 35, but wherever you are, you're not stuck if you're able to go ahead, take it in your own hands and make something happen.
Mm,
And that's really something I've done over this past year is I've left an entire industry, left a whole field, really ended an entire career and
yeah.
began a new one. Now that I'm heading into the world of sales, and I love staying adjacent to tourism through this podcast and through just the conversations and group chats I have with my friends in tourism and an interest I still have there. But really, I do love my new beginning in sales, and this is sprouted up because of taking a week for just self actualization, or I guess just you know taking like a mental inventory of the thoughts on what you have for your future and just the direction you do want to take your life. So I highly recommend that for anyone, to just take this time. Most people should have a break right now. Take this break to really think about what you want to be doing and how your personal life and career, like your professional life, intertwine,
Yeah.
and you know, figure out how to take some action steps like you're going to do, and I don't know, see if you can make sure you're not feeling stuck.
Yeah.
Is my general message. Do what you can to try to move out of or move upward within wherever you are. So
Yeah. And that's
I think that's a real good message for this year.
yeah, it's a great message for this year. And one of the things, first of all, one of my favorite quotes of all time, my favorite quote from The Office is business is the most personal thing there is. Michael Scott says that. And
That's true.
It really is true. So, your work life is going to over bleed over into your personal life and vice versa. So make sure that you're doing work you enjoy. And Tyler and I have talked about this a lot over the past few months in our own phone conversations, and I believe on this podcast, like make sure your ladder is up against the right building, right? Like make sure
Okay.
you're climbing towards something that you can be proud of and something that you can contribute to. One of the things I have this awesome SVP right now. His name's Mason Moore, and he broke it down to me really simple. He's like, there's four things to consider when considering a new job. Is there good pay? Is there good benefits? Do you enjoy the work? Is there room for growth? And so when I'm speaking to college students or young professionals, I kind of hit them with those four. I'm like, look, those four are important because that gives you the foundation to live the rest of your life. So make sure you're considering these things when you're looking at your career. So, and then in personal life, there's just a lot that goes on. There's a lot of nuance. Everyone has family, everyone has different contexts that we only see a part of, right? So, you want your work to be able to support your personal life too, and take time for yourself. It's okay to be selfish. It's okay to look at yourself and make sure you're in the right spot. And I would encourage a lot of young professionals, especially high performers and people who see something they want, to really take that time to take that stock and to see where you're at. So, that's kind of what I'm focusing on this year. I've landed in a place in an organization and in an industry where I can grow, and I'm happy with that. And so now it's kind of pausing on the career scramble and focusing on the personal side of things. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a family member. I'm a community member. How can I give back to my community more? How can I be a better dad? How can I be a better, husband and things like that? So those are things I focus on. I don't believe in being stagnant necessarily. I believe in growth, whether it's personal, financial, health. There's a lot associated with that. So, keep moving and keep pushing. But, I just got to say, I think I said it before, maybe on the Thanksgiving episode, but I love this industry. I love all of our listeners and the people in this industry. I mean, you guys have just given me so much, so many friendships, like genuine friendships, like not just working friendships, but genuine friendships. You guys have given me a safe space to start my career, to grow, and now even to be myself. And I'll just be forever grateful to y'all. So, one of the things Tyler and I are working on are, like I said, guests for next year. So if you guys are interested in being on the podcast, Tyler is really easy to find. Tyler, where can people find you if they want to be on this podcast?
It's pretty easy. You can
Pretty
find
easy.
me on LinkedIn. You can find me. Go ahead, check out the LinkedIn, and we can connect there.
Yeah.
Caleb, where can everybody find you?
People can find me. I work with Paradise Advertising and Marketing. We're a full service agency, so you can find us at paradiseadv.com. You can find me at csullivan at paradiseadv.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And yeah, reach out if y'all are interested in being on the podcast. We'd love to have you. We focus on like positivity, career growth, things like that. So we're just happy to have you on. And Tyler, you know what? This has been a good year, and this has been some good news.
And pause before you end it. So
Mm,
I know that was a good ending.
that was a
However,
good
there's
ending.
one thing I do want to say. We've been pretty serious about our New Year's resolutions on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you and tell all of our listeners that going into 2026, we're going to somehow incorporate holding each other accountable to our New Year's resolutions so that we do not fail them.
It's
And
true.
we'll see if we can play that into some of the episodes. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to give out that little nugget, that little
Yeah,
bit of
I just breezed
information.
by this. Tyler was like, no, 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 no. There's some accountability in this
We're
episode.
gonna hold some accountability. So
Oh,
I
one
take
of
New
the
Year's
things,
resolutions seriously.
yeah, hot
Yeah,
take. Tyler got me into reading. So
yeah,
I will save that for another episode when we have another bookworm on, but
yep,
he's got me
that's
into
right.
reading. So,
Alex Murphy on LinkedIn. He's from 30 Minutes to President's Club. He has a great quote, which he says, "You are the sum of the people you hang out with and the books you read."
mm,
But
solid.
that's pretty good.
I got the people down. Now it's time to get the books down.
There you go.
Self-exploration, guys. And
Let's book it
Tyler,
up.
I would say that was some good news.